In this video, we're going to be discussing the Site Sponsors feature in Extranet Collaboration Manager 2013 for SharePoint 2013. So first, let's talk a little bit about Site Sponsors and what they were designed to do. They were basically designed to take the load off your IT department for the day-to-day tasks of managing your extranet users. So you can take all of the password reset responsibilities, the actual invitation or adding new users, password management, password resets, etc. You can take all that burden off your IT department and make someone else responsible for that. For example, someone in customer service. So let's go ahead and sign into our site. And once we get there, we'll go over to the gear, site settings. And once we're there, we'll scroll down to our extranet management menu. And let's click on Site Sponsors. So we currently don't have any site sponsors, so let's click on the new Site Sponsor button. And now we see the Site Sponsor creation screen. So a sponsor can either be an internal user or an FBA user. In this case, what I'm going to do is I have an existing user from the Acme Corporation, Matthew. I'm going to make him a site sponsor, and I'm actually going to make him responsible for inviting all users from the Acme Corporation. So it's a very extreme example of site sponsorship, but I think it illustrates what the feature was designed to do very well. I'm just going to type Matthew here and do a quick name check. There's Matthew at acme.com. Now, the next three security definition boxes work this way. So the associative security definition are the SharePoint groups and or extranet roles that everyone Matthew invites will get added to by default. So when he sends an invitation to someone, they'll get added to these groups or roles automatically. He doesn't have to select them. The optional security definition will actually present itself to Matthew as a checkbox during the time of invitation that he can actually add the user to additional groups or roles if he wants. And we'll see that when we actually sign in as Matthew and invite our first user. And finally, the administrative are the groups and or roles that Matthew can administer. And when we say that, basically we mean all of these permissions down here. Send invitations, add accounts, edit accounts, etc. So for this video, I'm just going to use SharePoint groups, and the associative security definition are going to be visitors, is going to be visitors. So everyone will get added to the visitors group. They'll have read-only access by default. And then for the optional, I'm just going to do the members and the owners. And for the last, the administrative, the best practice here is basically to have anything that appears in the first two boxes also appear here, because what that says is that anyone Matthew invites, he can also manage. So let's just type those in real quick. Now the include site groups, if we say yes here, then any SharePoint group that Matthew is already a member of would automatically be populated in the optional and administrative boxes. I'm going to say no for the purposes of the video, just to kind of keep it nice and simple. And finally, we have an expiration date. So you could use this, for example, if you brought a temp in to send out several thousand email invitations. You can actually put an expiration date in here. Now it's only going to expire their sponsorship ability. It doesn't actually expire their account. And you could also use this if you wanted to maybe rotate sponsorship duties around a department like customer service. So I'm just going to leave that blank for the video and click Save. And now we can see that Matthew does show up as a site sponsor. Here's the associative security definition, and here's the administrative one. So now that we've got that done, I'm just going to go back. So now that that's done, I'm just going to go here and sign out. And once this comes back up, I'm just going to sign in as Matthew at acme.com. Do my password, click sign in. Okay, great. So now we're signed in as Matthew at acme.com. And if I go to the gear, I actually see two additional options here, invite users and manage accounts. So let me go to manage accounts. Now these are only obviously visible to site sponsors. So basically this is where the site sponsor does all of the functions as a sponsor. They can create a new account, grant access, remove access, view or edit a user, change their password, and finally unlock their account. So for purpose of the video, I'm actually going to invite a new user. Now we see the invitation screen here. So this is going to be Sally, and she's also with the Acme Corporation. And let's add her to the members and owners groups. Click Save. It's actually going to send the invitation. So let's go over to the desktop real quick. And what I've done here is just to set up a very simple SMTP environment. So this is actually just the drop folder. Open that up. And click on the email. As you can see, it says sally@atme.com. You have been invited to register for access to the Dev Home 1 site. To complete the registration, simply click the link below. So before I do that, I actually need to go and sign out of our site so I don't get automatically authenticated. We just sign out here, close it, and now we'll click on register. Okay, so now we see the registration page. We see that the email address has already been populated. And now we just need to choose a password for Sally. So I'm just going to do very quick, just password all lowercase. Just a quick one-letter answer to the password recovery question. And these are completely customizable here. These are set up in the web config file, and you can have as many or as few as you want, and they can be any question that you want. And finally, our information. Customer service manager, and just a quick phone number, and click finish. We can see that it has been accepted, so we can actually go ahead and attempt to log in as Sally now. And while we're looking at that, or waiting for that, we can also see that we've gotten a couple of other emails here. So we have one that this tells us we've successfully registered, gives the information that we provided. And the other one's going to tell us that we've actually been approved. So we can't turn approval on, which requires a manual review of registrations before they're approved. In this case, I don't have approval turned on, so they're kind of automatically approved, and both those emails get generated at the same time. So let's close that. Now let's attempt to log in as Sally. So as we can see, I am logged on as Sally Smith, and if I go to the gear, I do see the options that would normally be available to a site owner, a member of the site owners group. Now, one thing I want to point out is we notice this actually appears as Sally Smith when the site sponsor, Matthew@atme.com, actually appeared as his email address. The reason for that is we have what we call a registration receiver set up in the web config file. And what that is a little bit of custom activity that we can kick off at the time of registration, and only at the time of registration. So in this case, what we've done is we take the values that the user provides for the first and last name, we concatenate those, put them together, and we replace what would typically be the email address here with their first and last name, just to kind of make it a little more professional looking. But again, if you manually create a user, which I did with the Matthew@atme.com user, that won't be the case. It'll just be their email address. So that wraps up our video on site sponsorship in Extranet Collaboration Manager 2013. I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll be back real soon with another video. Thank you.